This is our review of One Night in Miami. This is Regina King's feature directorial debut. And what this movie is about is it basically imagines that night back in 1964 when Cassius Clay, Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X got together in a hotel room. And this is a fictional telling of their conversations in that hotel room. And man, this one is a lot in a good way. And it really speaks to, I think, the expertise that Regina King naturally has and also what she's picked up on over the years, because this is the kind of movie that I think totally rides on excellent performances. If there was even one weak link in that bunch, whether it be a member of the ensemble or the way that Regina King captures their performances and supports them as a director, this never would have worked, but that's not the case. And she is elevating them nonstop, and the four of them are phenomenal. We have Kingsley Ben-Adir, who is I'm like downright incredible as Malcolm X. Aldis Hodge as Jim Brown, who we do not talk about enough. I remember freaking out over his work, and he's just a supporting character in The Invisible Man earlier this year.
Yeah.
But he brings so much emotional weight to that movie, and I don't think it was talked about enough.
We can get more into it as we talk more about the characters, but same here, because the other three characters are like a little more like showy, a little more Oscar reel. But I kept watching him because, again,
it's like an understated intensity to him, and it seeps off the screen.
You always know what that character is thinking, no matter what's going on. And I thought that was incredible. Like every time the camera was on him, I was like so excited because he's just doing so much with like so calmly.
He really is. The other one where every single time the character was on him, like I could feel the energy in his performance was Eli Goree as Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
It's just like from the second he is on screen, you feel every ounce of his personality, and I couldn't get enough of it.
And it's such a hard role because everybody knows Muhammad Ali. I do not watch boxing. I do not pay attention to the sports, but every idiot has a Muhammad Ali impersonation because like his persona is so ingrained into American pop culture. So like anybody watching this movie is going to have an idea about how Cassius Clay should sound. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was so impressive is he hits the cadences we're familiar, and he even hits some of the kind of catchphrases that we know like Ali for. But the way he does it is so rounded. Like of the four of them, he feels like the little brother, and like it made the way they work together, it made me feel like they really were friends. And like I felt so kind of excited to be like allowed into this world and see them interact. But man, yeah, he is the first character we meet. You meet him in the ring, and again, I do not care about the sports, so it's not that's fine, but it's like not like I am going to be inherently hooked by like here's boxing. But even in this, like the way he moved, he does this thing where he would dip his face toward his opponent and then pull it away before they could punch him. And it was so cocky and so fun to watch. It was like any superhero doing something where they're about to be like, well, watch this, bam. And like, that's the thing. It's like, that's how they like started off, is with his energy, which is such a smart move because he's just captivating. And then I like went and looked at his like the rest of the things he's been in, and I've seen him in things. He was in Glow for a hot minute. He's in Riverdale, which is definitely why I knew him. But like, I was like, why hasn't he been it? Like, again, we're talking about like people who should be a big star. He's so dynamic.
I think all four of them. I mean, I guess probably Leslie Odom Jr. is the hottest name of the bunch because of Hamilton fame, but like he deserves every ounce of praise and to see his like star power rise through the roof because he's phenomenal. My brain can't even compute how that much talent is in like one human being.
It's actually neat because they released a clip, and I think it's a really smart clip to release. It's the four of them in the hotel room, and Cassius is talking about how he's just won the heavyweight title, which is not a spoiler. It's literally how the movie starts, and he's like really like thrilled and jumping around, and then he like stops and looks at himself in the mirror, and they all get like concerned because he stops dead, and then they all rush over and they're like, "What's wrong, Cassius?" And he's like, "I'm so pretty." And I'm like, it's so good. Like, it speaks so much to like who they are as a group and how they interact with him, and then him as a character. But yeah, then Leslie Odom Jr., who I think won a Tony for Hamilton for playing Aaron Burr.
I believe so.
He's Sam Cooke, which again, like, that's another person, like, also with Malcolm X and Jim Brown, people have these like ideas of them. So then you're going into this role knowing that you have to meet what people expect, or else they're going to be distracted, frankly. But then the whole point of this movie is to, I shouldn't say the whole point, part of the point of this movie is to take a historical figure kind of off of that pedestal, dust them off, and remind us that they were people. Because if we are able to demystify that, then their accomplishments are not untouchable. What the good they did, the things they caused, the causes they fought for, those are more immediate, and like, it, no part of the film feels dated, even though we're talking about something that happened.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, like the energy of these characters, the way King, without ever getting like, on the nose, I guess, relates it to everything going on now. Because like, I'm seeing people going like, it'll really remind you of the Black Lives Matter conversation. It's like, it won't remind you of it. It's the same conversation.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We're talking about this. Like, I wrote in my review, which I think is on IGN now, like, you watch this movie and you could very well imagine like Ray Fisher and John Boyega having this conversation. Like, I was so impressed with how the film has an immediacy, because what it has working against it are historical figures that we idolize to some degree, which you've all seen biopics where they treat the subject like they've never done a thing wrong in their life. They were just chiseled from marble and they are perfect. And like, that stuff's boring and I don't like it. This movie gives every character flaws, it gives them insecurities, which makes them really interesting to watch and also makes you understand who they are as people. But then on top of that, it's like inviting you into a conversation that is something that's really hard to have about what are our responsibilities. And like, then on top of that, it's adapted from a one-act play. So there's the challenge of, how do we take this thing that was meant to be staged in one space? And I have not seen the show, but from the way it's written, I'm assuming it was like this setting, this hotel room, boom. And like, how do we make it cinematic so it doesn't feel like we've just filmed the play? And like, I wasn't surprised. Like, I feel like if I didn't know it was based on a play, I would have suspected it was based on a play, because it's so dialogue driven and because the settings are very limited. However, it's not stodgy in the way that those adaptations can be. And then the other thing that's crazy, so Kemp Powers, who wrote the play and wrote the screenplay, I've seen other plays. I have not seen this play performed, but I have seen other plays where people take historical figures and they make them talk. And the trap in that is that sometimes people decide that they want certain characters to represent certain points of view. And so whether or not it makes sense for the character, they become mouthpieces and they don't feel like people anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they just exist to spout catchphrases. And this film never feels that way.
Never. Not for a second. Yeah. And actually, a lot of the movies that we've spoken about today do this quite well, no matter what the topic is, it presents, I mean, predicament might not be the right word, but it presents like an idea about how you should behave. And then rather than give you a right or wrong answer, it dissects it and explores all the options from so many different perspectives. And to see them have that conversation together, I mean, that is very well reflective of what we're going through today. And, like, no matter where you are in the world or what your job is, like, it can make you rethink the value of your voice and what you're supposed to be doing with the power that you have and how you can influence everyone around you. And for that reason, I think this is one of those movies where, like, I'm not going to be able to appreciate it and learn from it to the fullest until I've watched it 20 times. And I know that many out there will say, like, you shouldn't have to watch a movie more than once to fully get it. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying that they're giving me such heavy ideas with such dialogue driven scenes that, like, I am hanging on to their every word and I want to be able to isolate and absorb their every word. And that is going to take multiple viewings. And I think the power of those words is going to continue to grow with multiple viewings. And I look forward to having that journey with this film.
Yeah, and there's just so many things, because I talked with this about Angie via text after we had both seen it, which also that is like something I'm super missing from TIFF, being able to come out of the theater and then everyone gathers around and talks very whatever.
I feel you on that.
Yeah, but we were talking about a particular scene where three of them like play keep away from another one. And there was like a line in that I heard that she hadn't. And it's really funny because, again, just speaks to these like little personal moments. It's not like a key plot point.
Yeah.
But it was exciting to be like, there's just so much going on character wise and like idea wise. And then what's really cool, I knew some of the things that are talked about in the film. Some of the things talked about in the film are historically accurate. And some of them, they play a little fast and loose with things. But what's interesting is that when you're done, you feel compelled to go look up the stuff you didn't know about.
Yeah.
And like, I think that is a real gift to the audience because like, frankly, our history doesn't tell the stories of Black men nearly as thoroughly as it does white men. And I think what Regina King has done has given us this incredibly powerful story of 4 Black men, but it's not their total story. And she doesn't pretend it is. Mm-hmm. And I thought that the way it kind of introduces you to who they are, it really makes you want to go and learn more about what their lives were like and what their struggles were like. And
I could not agree more.
Yeah, I like immediately, and not just like a wiki trail. I started watching like videos and stuff. I rewatched a video about Sam Cooke from Drunk History because I remembered that. And I would say don't watch it before seeing the movie because there's some spoilers.
Okay.
But yeah, I sent it to Angie and she was like, what? I was like, yeah, it talks about what happened after. But yeah, I like, and I know I seem kind of clueless or whatever, but that's kind of the thing. Like, I didn't know a lot about some of the lives of these men. Like, I know, again, sports, like, they're like, Jim Brown was really good at football. It was football. Stuff I don't know. So that stuff was helpful to me, but then to actually read about like what his career was like and the quotes that he said to people and stuff, like, that was really exciting. And, I don't think I am the sole intended audience for this, but I can only speak to what this film means to me. And to me, mm-hmm. it was exhilarating and beautiful. And I mean, I gave it a 10 out of 10 at IGN because I honestly was just like, I can't think of anything better. This movie is just, it's so good. It's like, it has all of these obstacles that I talked about historical figures and biopics and adapting from theater and like trying to talk politics without making your characters feel like mouthpieces instead of people. And like King manages all of that. And, it's been a part of her career for so long to speak about like Black lives and Black politics and her stuff. She's been in incredible movies like Friday, and she was both voices of the boys on Boondocks, and she was just in Watchmen, and she's been directing TV for a while. So like she's been learning all these tools, and I think it's just awesome that she's like, all right, here. And I feel like what she's presented is just uncanny.
I really enjoyed the meta nature of it, and I think that's something that shows that Regina King was the director for this movie. The idea of, these super famous individuals having a discussion about how to use their fame and their power. And that's what we've been watching Regina King do for years. She's using her voice for the benefit of us all. And now I think she's pouring all of that into her feature directorial debut. And, we're seeing more so than ever the power of her voice. And after this, I mean, man, are we lucky to have her. And I can't wait to see how she keeps applying this to all the movies she makes after this, because there is no doubt in my mind that after One Night in Miami, she is going to have a very, very successful directing career. And I want to see her kind of swing that weight around in this industry that she's earned over the years, as well as she does here. And she's going to